Hey guys, this is Joel here from joelwebsites.com, and in today's video I'm going to teach you about web services in PHP. There are many developers who think that, especially the fresh developers who are new in the market, they think that web services is a really difficult concept. But I will show you really simple ways in which you will be able to use the web services for any application. If you're using HTML and JavaScript, so you will able to use web services that are created by PHP, and you will able to consume data into your application. So it will give you a very simple way to transfer data from one website to another. So you can use this for anything like a login page where data is sent to check whether value is saved in the database, and then it will tell you accordingly whether the user is there, and then it will help the user login. For as an example, I'll show you a login page so that it will be much better for you to understand this concept. Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you about Json web services. So it will be created using PHP. I will show you how to send small amount of data as well as a very large amount of data using Json web services. I am going to use the most simplest example. First of all, I will need to create a new folder with my project name. So I am just going to create a login tutorial. So I'm going to name it login tutorial. I'm using web services in this tutorial. Okay, so here's the folder. I've opened it, and I'm going to create another folder for web services. Just to be more clear, I'll be creating another folder just to save my HTML and project files, HTML and JavaScript files. So now let's get started by creating a new HTML page. So the HTML, basically what happens in a login page is that we have to log in from one HTML page, and then it is basically redirected to another page. So all I got to do is, first of all, I'll create an index page. I already have an index HTML page. You can create a test one. So as you see in this one, there's no code. This is what is in the current HTML file. This is just an index. Okay, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a copy of this. So I'm going to rename this file to login. So now let's design the login page. So now to design a login page, we will basically need two input boxes and a button. So what I'm going to do is, to avoid wasting any time, I'm going to search for login page HTML template. So since I like Bootstrap, I would like to search for Bootstrap 1. So this is very simple. You have to just search in for the login page, and then you'll get this. So I'm just going to take a very simple one. The simplest one I feel is, okay, this one is looking quite good. This is bootsnip.com. You just get snippets for Bootstrap, so you can just download and use these files in your projects. Okay, so our login page will look somewhat like this. Here's the download. um, all we got to do is copy the HTML code. So try to make it more big. So all I'll be doing is copying Control A, mark all, and then I'll click on right click and copy. So now what next? The next thing I'll do is that I'm going to paste the HTML code here. Now I've saved it. Control S. Now next is I'm going to copy the CSS file similarly in a similar fashion. So all I'm going to do is click on Control A again and click on copy, Control C. So let me create a new HTML CSS file. So just a moment, I will have to open Notepad. So I've opened Notepad++, and then I'm going to paste the CSS code here, and then I'm going to click on File, Save As. I'm going to save it as a CSS file. So let's search for CSS. Otherwise, I can click on All Types and click on, yeah, I'll just need to type in style, and here I can just type in CSS. So now I'll like to save the file onto my project folder. So the project folder is this. I'm going to copy this and then paste it to the directory. I hope there's an option to paste, but no, I can't see it. So anyways, I'll be going to my drive, and then I will save it in my project folder. So login tutorial is the file that I was looking for. Save. Okay, so here we have our CSS file. So now the next step is to copy the JavaScript code if there is any. So let's go to JS section. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this thing and click on, I'm pressing Ctrl C, that is copy. Again, I'll create a separate file, or maybe you can, there are two options. You can either load JS from a separate file, or the other option is that you can save it inside the HTML using style tags. So I'm going to do it using the style tags because I find it much simpler. I mean the script tags, script. So this is how, by the way, I'm using brackets as an editor. So in this code you will see that they have used jQuery. You can see the dollar symbols. These are all jQuery files. I mean the code is written in jQuery. So now the next thing I would do is, next thing I'm going to do is open my web browser and type in for jQuery CDN. Okay, so here is the jQuery CDN. So this is the jQuery CDN. I'm copying it in my project. So I think this file should start working, the login page. So since I'm using brackets, there is an option to execute it over here directly. I can try that one. So as of now, we see that this is the page that has been loaded. But now it seems as if there are no CSS applied. So I had created the CSS file, but I have not included that in my project. So I had created the CSS file, but I had not included that in my project. So now I'm going to include the CSS file. I'm just going to copy this link rel, the link from w3schools.com, and then I'm just pasting it in the HTML login page like this. This is supposed to be copied in the head tag, by the way. Control X. I'm going to scroll to the head. There are no head tags, so I will create them. So since it's in the same folder, I won't be putting anything in before style.css. I hope the file is being loaded now. So now for now I will open my page, and now I will click the login refresh button. Okay, we see that there is some improvement, but still everything is not working as expected. So let me check now. Clicking the F12 button. Now I press the F12 button. So in the F12 button you will realize that the jQuery thing is not loaded. So we have to solve this issue, then the code should be working fine. Okay, so now let's go to the code and see what went wrong. Okay, as you see that there is no HTTP protocol over here, so in the link, so type in HTTP :/. So now I hope it's working fine. I'm pressing the refresh button. Okay, so now I have to check whether if there is anything remaining for using this snippet. So I've used HTML, JavaScript. So now I've realized that I have not used the Bootstrap min files. So to use Bootstrap snippets, you have to include the Bootstrap's CDN as well. So now these are the CDN files for Bootstrap. So I'm just going to copy the min.css file now. I hope you should be knowing the basics at least about the min files, what are min files and all that. So again I'll be going to the head tag, and then I'll load the So now I have even added the Bootstrap CDN files. So now let's see whether the code has the file is showing any improvement. So now you will see that the HTML file is loaded properly and everything is working. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the unnecessary hi there, that is the h1 tag, because I don't want it. Okay, so I have deleted the file. Now let's hit the refresh button once again. So now the next part is where I'll be creating the web service. So the web service will basically check whether the value is there in the database, and then it will log in the customer, or it will give a message that login failure. So guys, now I'm going to talk about how to open the file in your local host, and also I will also speak about the registration process where the customer will able to register and save his details in the database. So now let's try to open the file. So let us check what is the file name first of all. As you see, the file is a login.html file. So you can, just to confirm, we will right click on the file and click on properties, and here we'll see the correct extension for the file. So now all we got to do to open the file is type in the, you have to copy whatever part is after htdocs and then just paste it after localhost. You have to type in localhost and then put a forward slash and type in and paste and put in one more for slash, since the URL will come to the web address will come to know that it's a folder. So now currently it is opening the HTML I mean the index file. Now currently it's opening the index file. So now we have to try to open the login page. So now just type in login.html and then click enter. Please note I'm typing html. So this is the login page that we had created earlier. So as you see in the login, in the registration page, now we see that there is your username, an email address, a password, and a confirm password section. So I'll teach you how to create this thing as well. So first of all, to save the values, you will need to create a database. So this is my test database. You can create a database by clicking on this icon over here, and it will be created, and you have to just select the default settings and click on create. You have to enter a name and click on create. So now I'm just creating a table where the values will be saved. So here's the new table. Let's zoom out a bit so that I don't want to create a new routine and all. So I'm just putting in my test table. Go. So now we have to select whatever type of columns you would like to keep. So I'm keeping the first one as int, since I would like to keep an auto increment since this will be the ID. So ID, I'm typing in ID here. So in the registration form, so you'll see username. So let's type in the same name. Email, then type in password. You won't require the confirm password obviously. So this I'll change this to varchar, and I'll put a size of 50. Email, I'll again change this to varchar and keep it 50. Username also I'm going to keep it 50. So now I will click the save button. I hope it's created. So now you see that my table is being created, and this is it has returned an empty result since there are no rows in the table. Okay, so now I will begin showing you how the web service is going to help you in the registration process as well. So this is the registration form. So in this tutorial I'll be using Jquery since that is a really convenient way to use the web service with. So it is a really easy combination. It will be really easy to use the Jquery with this for the web to consume the data as well as post data into the database. So now I'm going to go to my folder and I'll be creating a PHP file. Okay. So again, I am just uh, pasting in my old PHP file. Okay, and I'm going to open it. And now I'm going to delete all the data inside since I want a fresh file. Since I'll be showing you everything from scratch. So now I'm going to type in the opening brackets of PHP and now the closing brackets for PHP. I'm going to rename it as register. So now I'll just type in the insert statements. So this web service will help you insert data to the database. It is really going to be very easy. So now this is a PHP code. So this is our PHP code. So let's see if everything is working fine as of now. I'm just going to write a very simple statement saying echo hi there. This is a test. Okay, so now let's try this out. So let's try this out, and now I'm going to try to open this in a new tab to see if it is working fine. So I'll type in web service / the file name. So it is register.php. Okay, again it's showing a wrong file name. So I've noticed that I have not put an S over here. Okay, so the file seems to be working fine. Okay, so the next step is that we need to create a database connection to the database so that we may insert values very easily without any problem. So now I will be showing you how to create the I'll be sharing with you the config file, the information about a config file. Please note that all the files will be available for download in the description of this video. Okay, so then you will find some links that will help you download the files. So this is my config file. So what happens basically in the config file is that it is just a very basic PHP code talking about. So basically it has a very simple connection code to the database. So I'll explain to you later on why I added this code as well. But I will also, it is just a simple connection code and it is the most basic one. It will just echo out could not connect to the database if there is no problem. If there is a problem, it will show this error, this or this error. So let us try whether it's working or not. So now let's go to the config file. Okay, so there is no error. So it seems that everything is working fine. Okay. So now I have to just include this file into the registration page, into the registration PHP. Okay, so I'm going to write include I'm going to just going to write the include statement. So now this will include the conf file. Okay. So now to test this, we'll type in one more echo statement to see if everything is working fine. So let's run this code. Okay, so you can see both the message over here, and that means it's working fine. So now the next step is where we will use the insert statements. So this insert statements will basically help you insert the data into the database. You may use insert statements, or you might even use update statements as per your need. So in case you want to update something in the database, you might use an update statement. Otherwise, you may use an insert statement. Okay, so let's open the registration file once again. So now I will insert the registration code here. Please note I'm writing a very detailed comment so that you might understand. I'm just ending the comment with the end, so it's not confusing where the code is starting as well as where it's ending. Okay, so now the only things that are required are where you will get the variables from and how will you insert. You have to just write a simple insert statement to insert the value. So now I'm going to type in going to, so as of now I'm going to make one more one more comment block where I will get the variables. So I'm pressing Control D in brackets, so this is creating a duplicate one, and so here I'm typing N. So it's really easy. As of now, nothing till now. I don't think anything should be difficult to understand. Everything is really easy. So now to get the variables, I'm going to use a very simple way to get the variables. So that is the get statement. Okay. So I'm going to copy paste in this code that I done in the some other project. So basically what is happening is that if name is set and it is just escaping the name for any special characters or anything, and then it is just basically getting the value from the URL. So similarly I'll have to get in my username. Okay, so next thing is the name, and the third one is going to be the email. One, we have to capture one more field, that is the password. I'm pressing Control D. Let's name this password. Okay, so it seems that the name field was extra, so I'm going to remove it. Okay, so here we go with the username, email address, and password. So basically now we will be getting this to the URL. I'll explain everything in detail. Do not worry. So I'm just removing this unnecessary space. So basically now you have to just write in your PHP statement. So what will happen is that you have to just start writing a query. You have to save the query in a variable. So this is how I'm going to write. So the statement will be look like insert into. Now I'll have to check once again. I'll have to just confirm what is the database table name that I had saved. So as you see, it is my test table. So I'm going to put my test table inside these type of hyphens, my test tables. Okay, please note that do not make any spelling mistake. So if you don't create any spelling mistakes, you will have a bug-free code. Then you have to just name the columns. So as per the structure, this is what the structure was. So there's an ID, a username, email, and password. Please separate it using commas. So this is what the insert statement will look like. It's not still yet complete, but I'll type in the whole thing. Don't worry. Since the ID field was an auto increment one, I'm keeping it as null. Then the username will be the value that was there in this section. Please note that I'm selecting a single colon instead of a double, so that it's much easier to type in dynamic values and concatenate dynamic values. So this is the syntax what should it should be. So one is for the ID, second one is for username, just copy pasting it so that it's more simpler to type in. Now is email, password. Oh, you may delete the extra ones in case you have copied extra. Yeah, so now the insert statement looks perfect. Now we have to make sure that this insert statement is executed in the SQL query statement. So now this is the format of the insert statement will be executed in the SQL query. Also note that you should turn on error reporting, because sometimes it is much more easier to debug using this statement. So now let's try the code. Let's see if any values are being inserted in the database. So now what I'll do is I'll try to run this page. Let's see what happens. So now I'm trying to run the page. This is the page. Okay, so I've run the page once. I mean ran the page once. Okay, so let's see if any value is being inserted. No, I don't think any value has been inserted. So let us check if this other test echo is working. So I'm going to run the register page once again. So it seems that the test 57 code has been shown. So let us try to echo the query 123 and see what happens. Nothing happened. Okay, so now I'm going to try to debug the code to see what is gone wrong. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to type in this statement so that I will come to know if any errors than MySQL. It will show me. It should show me the error. So let me now retry refreshing the page. Okay, so now the it's saying that there are two errors. So all I did was that I put this code or trigger error MySQL query, and so it showed the error messages. So these error messages are very useful to help you debug the issues. So now undefined variable query in so and so line number 12. So now let's check what is on line number 12. Okay, so they're saying that this is an undefined variable. So I'm going to put my insert statement here. So now that error should be solved. Let me try resetting, refreshing. Okay, so now they're saying that the column count does not match the value count at row 1. So there are 1, 2, 3, and here let's see 1, 2, 3, 4. So we see that there is one extra value that has been added. So there is something missing. So let's see what is missing. The email field is missing, as you see. Control S. So now let's try refreshing the page and let's see if we still get any errors. Okay, so now there were no errors. Let's see what if any value has been inserted. Yes, we see that there is some blank values being inserted. You can see this row. This is the blank value that was inserted because we ran this code. So moving on to the next section, I'm going to show you how to get this variable set. So basically now what have I written is that we are trying to get these variables from the URL. So let's type in those variables one by one in the URL. You will have to check about query strings to learn about this perfectly. So let's type in the first variable. You have to type in question mark in the variable name. What is then set the get? So it's username. Second, you have to set any value as per your convenience or choice for testing purposes. So I'm going to put username is Joel J. Okay, so let's, the next step is putting an and. So we want more variables. Since we want more variables, just put an and. Now type in email equal to an email address. So now the next field is password. Okay, so let's try this statement. Let's see if these values being get inserted in the database. Undefined index username on line number 6. So let's see what is this. Let's see if any values get inserted in the database. Yes, we see that the values are being inserted in the database. Since username had an error, that is not inserted in the database. So now I've noticed that I have typed in the wrong variable name here. So there was an unnecessary dollar sign. So I'm saving the code after making the changes, and now I'm going to refresh once again. Okay, so now there are no errors. I think all the values should be inserted for now. Okay, please note that if you're using this technique, you can, there are other methods of sending data to this page, but I'm just using this technique for convenience sake, just to show it to you more quickly, but I will show you the proper way to do it. Now there are some disadvantages of using this technique. Sometimes anybody, if they know this technique on your website, they might keep inserting spam values into your database. The second drawback about this technique of sending the values to the URL is that the URL does not support all type of values. Sometimes there are some special characters that are not supported by the URL. So if your variables will have, the values will have the special characters, then there will be some problems. So I will show you another, I'm going to show you the other technique to get this done. But as of now, so this is the most basic method and the easiest way to check if the values are being inserted. So now let's move on to the other file. So this is where I created the database, and now I'm sending the values to the page and they are being inserted successfully. So I'm happy with this. Now I will need to show you how the code works on the front end. How Jquery will send the values to the data to this PHP file, that is the web service, and it will enable you to insert values from any website or from an external website without any problems. So there was one last thing that I forgot to show you, that was the config file. Okay, so there was this thing that was really important for you to know. This thing is a really important thing. So as I mentioned that you can even send data from another website to the current website, to your own website. It is necessary for you to add these three codes, because this will allow even external domains to send data. Sometimes you get unnecessary errors in Chrome saying that cross domains are not supported. So it's important to put this code. So you won't get any errors if you use this type of syntax. And if this code is included, those errors will be solved. So there's no need to worry at all. So guys, now I'm going to show you how to set up the front end for the website. how to set up the front end for the login page. So basically you will have to be using Jquery. If you would like to, if you would like me to show you a tutorial on Angular JS, please do not forget to comment in the comment section. I will surely create a Angular JS way to send variables and to use the web services with Angular JS as well. So you have to just request this video in the comment section and like this video, and I will surely create that video for you. So now the next thing is that we are going to design, we are just going to consume these values, and then we are just going to save these values in data in variables, in JavaScript variables, and then we are going to send those variables to the PHP file. So then in this way the data will be inserted into the database using PHP. So now let me open the login.html page. Okay, so I'll go to my HTML folder again and then right click and open with brackets. Okay, so this is the login.html page. So now whatever code we are writing, we have to ensure that it works fine. So let us see, we can write the new code inside the script tags, since we will be using Jquery to send the files, to send the values to the PHP file. Okay, I mean the send the values to the PHP file. Okay, so let's start. We can start up by just testing if the code is working fine. This is not a mandatory process, but it's good to check if things are working fine. So this, I'm just going to reload the page and let's see if yes, the alert is working fine. So now I'm going to get the values from the text boxes to my jQuery. So now I'm just going to define some variables. Let's say var email, then var username, then I'm pressing enter and clicking var password. Okay, so now these are the three variables. Now the next step is try to get their values. So basically we have to use this syntax to get the values. I'm just trying to align the code so it looks neater. So let me see what is the ID. Since the hash sign is over here, we'll have to get the values using the ID. So let us see where the text box is gone. So I see that the text boxes are over here. So here is the username. Let's do the same thing for username too. Okay, it's already here. So I'm just copying in username. Let's see what is for email. We will do the password section for now. Now we have to check for email. What is the ID for the email text box? Here's the email ID for email is email. So I'm hitting the save button. Okay. So now I have to check whether these values are being populated correctly in this variables. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to type in alert email. Please note that I have not put any single quotes because single quotes means text in JavaScript. So I'm just pasting the same thing again. One for email, one for username, and the other one for password. So let's see, and I'm just trying to concat to know what variable is which. So here I'm just typing I am the email. Similarly here, hi I'm the username. Now plus sign is to concat text to variables. So now hi and the password. Okay, so now the next thing is that we need to make sure that this is wrapped in a function. So we are getting the values when the login button is clicked, right? Or the registration button is clicked. Okay, so now I'm going to create a function called fun function register. So let's type in, sorry, let's open the braces and close it. Okay, now so they have defined a new function and this is inside wrapped in a function. It's really simple code, very easy to understand. So now I will click, I'll just, this is the input box submit button. Okay, so I will click, I will type in the on click function on click. So let's see if this function is being called and the code runs fine as expected. Here's the registration page. Let me just refresh it since I have updated some code. So I'm typing test, 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 test. Here 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what happens. Hi, I'm the email. Hi, I'm the username. Hi, I'm the password. Okay, so it seems that I have not entered in correct values. So let's see now. Username is okay, password is okay, the email address section is working fine. I am the username is doesn't look like as if it's working fine. And I am the password is not looking fine too. Okay, so now I had been redirected to this page for no reason. So I'll tell you why that happened. We have to check the action for this form, what is going on with it. So as you see that the action is sending us to all.com, php all.com. So I'm just deleting this unwanted code. Okay. Okay, so it seems that there is a silly mistake like this double semicolons. Those are totally unnecessary. So these might have been causing syntax issues. So let's try again. What is? Let's try it out once again. Refresh. Okay, so we will refresh. So click on test and on register and test. Okay, so email is again working. Now it seems that the username is also working. It only seems that the password is not working fine. Okay, it's still redirecting me to the PHP Olo page. Let me check why is it happening. Okay, it seems that I had removed the PHP Olo from the login form. So I'm removing it from the other places as well. This is totally unnecessary. because we won't be using it basically. So now I have removed the code. Let me try refreshing the page and try again the refresh. Okay, it seems that the password are not been captured as well. So test. Okay, so it seems that the username and the password are not being set correctly. So most probably I must have been using the email, the registration, the wrong IDs probably. So I'll just have to double check what is going on. So for simplicity purposes, we will try to. Now there is a problem. The problem is that the login form also has a password, and the other some and the registration as well has a password field. So I'm renaming the login form to one. This is the login form, and now I'm going to check again whether it's working or no. So since the IDs were the same, the code was being clashed. Okay, so let's see if everything is fine now. Let's do the same thing for the username as well. Rename this to one, since this is a login form. I don't want it to clash with the username of the registration one. I'm doing Control F and username, password. So instead of password, I'll be using confirm password instead. So since I have a difficult time scrolling, I will be using the Control F option since I find it much more convenient. So let us try this code once again if everything is fine. I'm pressing Control F5. So now I'll click on register. So now test at white.com, test 123 PHP 123. So let's click register. So now you see that the email is also email, the username, and the password, it seems it's in some weird format. So we'll have to check what is this. So as we see, there is an issue with the password section now. It seems that I have not alerted the correct one, so I'm just using I'll use confirm password variable now. So now it should solve the problem. Pressing Ctrl F5 so that the cache is clear, the cache is cleared as well. So again test at y.com, test test123. So now I'm clicking the register button. So email is working, username is working, as well as the password is working. So now we have everything, all the three important variables in JavaScript variables. So now the next procedure is to send the variables to the PHP file. I won't be covering up the form validation in this video since I don't want to mix that with this video. So now I will be typing in my code inside. So here's the code. This is the Jquery post to send data to pages. So here I'll have to type in my localhost address, where the registration for the registration file. Here I will be typing in each variable so that their values are being sent. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is that now I will need to copy the now I'll have to copy the URL into this section. So the URL will be localhost. This is the URL that will be used in the code. So this is where I paste the URL. Now let me try what happens when this code is executed. Let's see what happens when this code is executed. So now let's type in some things. First of all, I have to refresh the page. So I'm typing in test at y.com, test 123, test123. Now I'm going to click the register button. These alerts can be removed later on. So now let's see if the values are being inserted. We see that the code was executed, but the values were not passed to the variable correctly. Okay, so now the next step that I got to check the register.php file, that why weren't the values inserted into the database. So there is a mistake in this file. Since we are sending the variables using the post, we are using post to send the variables. So similarly, we will have to use post to save the variable. So all I'm going to do is type in post instead of get. This is the PHP method of receiving data from another page. I'm using the post method, as you see. So now let's try to refresh this page once again. Now we will click on register and type in test2 at y and test123 test123. So now let's click the register button once again. So now the code has been executed. Let's see if any value has been inserted in the database. Yes, we see that the value has been inserted in the database. So now there is some issue for the password section. We have to check why the password didn't work. Okay, so we are sending the we are trying to retrieve the password using the post password. Let me check the other file where we are sending the data. So it seems that we are sending confirm password instead of password. So let's put in confirm password, or we can rename this to password. This is an easier option. So I'm clicking on Control S. Again, I'm going to refresh this page. I'll click on register once again. So test PHP123 at y.com. Now test 123. So test PHP123. So let's click the register button. Okay, now I hope that all the variables are inserted in the database. So now you see that all the variables are inserted in the database. So this is how you successfully create the registration page. So now we will have to move on to the login page. So these are some values. You may encrypt the password using the MD5 function in PHP. That is totally up to you and your requirements. Since I wanted to keep this tutorial easy, I have not encrypted the password. Okay, so the next step is that we need to reconfigure the login page as well. So in the login page, it will just check whether this user is available in the database, and then accordingly it will give a response. The web service will give a response, and it will display a login. It will redirect the customer to the login page. So now I will create a new function that is called login. So it will be defined in the similar fashion like this function. So all you got to please make that your define please make sure that you're defining your functions correctly. So your login code will go in this. It is a really simple process, really very easy process. So I've copied the login function. I've just copied the name, and then now I'm going to type in login, since I know that it will help me find the login page more easily. So here's the submit button. As you see, I've just Control F, and then now I'm typing in on click. On click is a JavaScript function. uh, it is not exactly a function but it will help you call functions. So this is how I'm going to call the login function. So I'm just testing it for now. I'm just putting in some text. So this is a nice way to just check whether your functions are working fine. So now I will be executing the code. Going to refresh the page. Now I'll put in test. I just want to see if the code is being called. So yes. So we see that the login function is being called. Now we are going to use the web services to check whether the customer or the user or whatever is in the database. So there is a really simple code for this too. I will show you all the steps to get this code written. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my project folder once again and go to the web services section, and since this register file will have half of the functions written already, I'm just going to create a copy of this file, copy and paste. So basically there are many functions, many things that will be repeated, so I'm just going to repeat this. So I'm going to name this web service login. So the main thing is that we'll have to make this insert statement into a select statement. This should be a select statement. So let us proceed. The table name will be the same. So I will try to use the count star function. You can use other methods as well to, depending on your database structure. You will have to basically make a way to check whether the user is available in the database. Okay, so select star from, count star from this thing, from the database name. So I have put in this thing so to make sure the syntax is working fine. I have to still insert a while loop so that I will retrieve the number of the count. So now there are a few changes that need to be made. This unnecessary code will be removed. Now you can either send the variables using get, because this does not need such security, but I would recommend you to use post, because post is much more convenient, and as well as the user can type in any value when the special characters problem won't arise when sending these values. Okay, so now let's take in the main things. So in this example we see that the user will type the username and password. Okay, so we will just be saving the username and password. I'm going to remove the email because that is not needed. So in this select statement we will have to make a slight change. We have to put in a where clause, where use, and then type in the column name equal to please try to follow this same syntax because this is the best syntax I've been using since years. And you can also put a AND statement so that you can check multiple values at the same time. Okay, so this is the query. Okay, I'm going to remove some more unwanted code. So the next thing is that we will have to use a while loop so that we ensure that we are getting the values that are there in the database. Okay, so for now I'll be using the while loop. Okay, so this is where we will be using the while loop. Okay, since I've used extract R, we will directly be able to use the variables that are retrieved by this select statement. So now let's try getting the count star column. Let's see if the value is being populated correctly. Okay, since this has brackets, so I doubt this will work. So I'll give this an alias. So I'm putting count, so that count will be the column name. Okay, so let's see if this code works fine. One more thing, we will for this for testing purposes we will change this to get, because then we will have to test it by calling the URL in the web browser. It is a very simple process compared to post to check whether the web service is working fine. So now let's try to open login. Okay, so we have some errors as of now. You have an error in the check the manual near my where, and so it seems that there is some SQL statement error. Let's try putting one here or some other alias, because count can be a global function or something. Let's try retrying. Okay, but there is still no improvement. Okay, let's try to debug this issue by making this select statement a lot more simple. So I'm just going to put in select star, and I'm going to save it, and let's see if anything works out fine. And I'm going to remove the where clause as well to make it more simpler. Let's refresh this page and see if any count. So it seems that there is still some error. So there is an error near my test table at line 1. So let's check. So I'm going to remove this unwanted, or let's see if it was useful. There's still no improvement. Okay, so it seems that I have not put the from statement. So it seems that I have not put in the count statement. So let's type in something else for CO count. So put CO, and then I'm typing in from, because that was a very big mistake. Okay, so let's try refreshing the page and let's see if Okay, so it seems that there is one user for the username Joel J and with the email address and password 123. So let's check. So for the email address, yes. Okay, so it seems that this code is working fine. To check whether the database, if any user is available in the database. So now it seems that we have the value 1 since the user the count is 1. So we will put an simple if statement. If so now if CO equal to 1, we will echo some JSON response to the login page. So it will come to know whether the user is logged in or no. Okay, so I'm going to put in another if statement. If $CO is not equal to 1, then I'll need another response. I'll have to echo another JSON response. So this is a really simple one. It's really simple, the logic. Okay, so when using web services, you need to ensure that you don't echo anything extra. Okay, so I'm just going to comment this section out for now, and also try to search for if there are any other echo statements so that it won't cause any other problems. So now let's type in the code for the part where it is 1. So now basically what will happen is that we'll have to define an array. So we'll have to put result equal to array. I'm just defining the array, and now I'm going to declare the array. So why am I using arrays instead of just a simple variable? The reason I'm using array is that arrays can send a lot of data. This is a simple example, but if you like this video and comment below, I'll create a new video showing how to send much larger data using web services. So you can use the same technique. So basically I'll be using an array to send data. You can, if you want me to explain in detail, please like and subscribe to my channel and all that. I will surely be motivated to create that video for you. Okay, so basically I'm uh, telling you to use arrays because later on it will be easier for you to use it with a lot. If you want to send a lot of data as a response, you can even send a lot of data. Okay, so the other thing I will like to define is the status. So please note that the success, this I'm just putting a comment, user is logged in. Okay, and this one is for user is not available. So yeah, I'm just going to enter in some status so that it will really easy to interpret in JavaScript or Jquery. What is the response? We can put a simple if statement which will help us decide whether the what value has come from the response. So I'm just going to put response 0 over here. So you can even enter in the customer ID because sometimes that is a really important part for applications. Okay, but here we are just counting in the, as of now We are just checking whether the user is available. We are not writing any statement whether to get the customer's ID. So as of now, I will just put in some blank value. Okay. So now basically we have to do this for all the other variables too. So now it seems that most of the things are fine, but we need to still check. This is the customer's name. The most important thing is the status. If you want to return any other values, you might return it by adding variables as you wish. So now I won't be I won't be showing you how to insert the customer ID because it's really simple. You have to just you have to just basically set this variable by a simple select statement from the database, and then but make sure you're using it only when the customer is logged in. So now we have to check whether this code is working. So now let us open the browser, and here's the code. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, we see that there is one more echo available. This echo was written in the config file, if you remember. So I'm going to remove it because it is unnecessary for now. So let's see what happens. Okay, we see that there is blank. There is no response being echoed. Okay, so for now I'll uncomment this part because I want to see what is the value of co. So it seems that count star is 1. So we have to make sure one thing. We have to put in co and make sure that the value of co is not in text. It should be in int. So in this way the value will be converted into int. I hope it works now. Okay, it's still not working. Okay, basically I wanted to check whether this function is called, so I did not put any echo here, so sorry. So yeah, I'm just putting in co is true because then it is much more easier to check with echoes and all that. So I'm just going to refresh once again and I hope it's working. Yeah, it's working. So now basically what happens, we have to JSON encode the array that is created. So the JSON array is already created. We have to just enter in this output header. So this is the output header that is important. So I'm going to comment out, remove this code now. And let's see what happens if the JSON web service is created. Just refresh the page. Okay, it seems that there is a notice undefined variable. Actually, I had copied this from somewhere. So make sure you have to set it with the correct variable. Okay, fine. So now I hope it works. So as you see, the JSON part has been created successfully, but now there's a problem. The problem is that this part is totally unwanted. This will cause issues when trying to consume this data into JavaScript. So I'm going to remove the unnecessary echo. So let's refresh. Then this will provide you with a very clean. It will provide you with a very clean code, that is JSON. It will be used for JSON objects in your JavaScript. So now let's go back to the login page. So basically what happens in the click of login, when we click login, basically we have to call the PHP post function. So I'm just going to copy this into the login function because I won't need to type them again. So now I'm going to remove this unnecessary part. We won't be requiring this part in this function, in this code. Okay, so since we are using the get method, we will be able to send the data using the URL itself. So I'm going to type in, I'm going to create a new variable called URL, by the way. And I'm going to paste in the same. I'm going to paste in the URL in this variable as a string. Okay, so now we have to just ensure that the data is been, we are getting the data correctly. So one more thing is remaining is that we will need to send the parameters in the URL. So in login.php we are sending the username and password. We will need to send the username and password. So I will concat the username and password in this variable, and in the start we have to type in question mark username equal to username. And now I'll have to type in the password as well. Please make sure you're putting in plus signs because this will ensure that the code works properly. This is the right syntax. So then we have to just ensure the variables have been set correctly. I'd rename the login URL, the variables to 1, the IDs. Okay, so I hope now everything is fine. We will just alert the username as well as the password. I'm going to delete this unnecessary code or just copy paste it above because I want to just check whether these variables are being called out. Yes, fine. So now let's see if this code works. We are not sure whether this code works. We will be getting the response. The response should be object since we are alerting it in this fashion. So let us try it out. So this is a login page. So I'll put in username as Joel J and password as 123. By the way, we are checking the code. We are checking the values in the database using we are checking it using the username as well as the password. So we need to make the sure that we are typing in the correct username. So the username will be Joel J and password will be 123. So let's try it out. Let's try it once again. Okay, we'll just have a quick check whether there are any console errors, but it doesn't seem that there are any console errors. So I need to check what is wrong now. So in the function now I'll be putting in alert to test whether that is working fine. So I just want to check whether the function is being called. Okay, it seems that the function was not called. So let's see if there is any issue with the URL that is being used. So I'm going to type in alert URL to ensure that the correct URL is being used. I will also type in console.log URL to make sure everything is fine. Okay, I see that we are not using the correct file. We are using the register page. So I think we need to use the login page. So this was one of the error. So let's try it now. I'm going to refresh this thing. I'm refreshing once again. Okay, Joel J and 123. So let's click the enter button and see if anything happens. This is the correct URL. Okay, but it seems that there is some problem. So I'll just try removing the onClick function just to see if anything else is being called during the login function. When the button is pressed, I just want to see if anything else is being called at the moment. So I'm going to execute the code once again. So it seems that something else is also called. If you see carefully, you will see that the page is being refreshed. So that must be causing the issue. So what I'll do is I'll try to make some changes in the login button. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to enter in the login except for the class. I'm going to remove its ID and name and the type. So I hope there is no conflict. Let me try now if the function works fine. Okay, see, you see the response. The function is being called this time because the page was not refreshed. Yes, we see that the data is being got here. Okay, so now I'll quickly show you how to play with the object that has been retrieved. Just going to type in login function because that is going to be the easiest way to search for the line that I was typing. Please note that I'm not scrolling much. I'm just using the control F function, control F feature, and that's damn easy to use and it will save you a lot of time. Okay, so basically what happens here is that we have to now use the data variable. This is a data variable. So now basically we'll be putting in an alert here. This alert will consist of a JSON stringify function. If we use the JSON.stringify function, we will able to see what data is there instead of seeing object. So again, let's try retrying. Okay, see, you will see that the status is being retrieved as 1 and the customer ID is blank as we had set it in the success function since I've entered in the right password. Okay, so now let me try entering a wrong password and now I'm logging in once again. So now you will see that the status should be 0. It seems that there is some problem. So basically it didn't generate a response. Okay, so basically now I'm going to work on the success function. Before I work on the success function, I'll try to put in the wrong password here to just see if any error or anything is caused. So since I put in the wrong password for the login.php here in the get, you see how easy it is to debug using the URL. So we see that undefined variable name in the line 31. So when the user is typing in the wrong password, we are getting this error on login.php. Okay, so basically what we'll have to do is that I have to go to login.php and go to line number 31. So I have to just remove this unnecessary code that was not set. And I'm also showing you how to debug the code. I know there are some errors when I'm showing this tutorial, but I'm ensuring that I show you the steps to debug them as well. So you will find it easier to handle such situations. So now let's recompile the code that is our login page. So I'm going to type in the wrong password, right? Want to okay. So now click OK, login. Okay, now you should get the wrong password response, that is status is equal to 0. Okay, so now basically we are retrieving the object and everything seems to be okay. Basically we have to go to the login.html. Inside JavaScript we will need to type in basically we need to save the response in some variable, right? Var status. So I'm going to name this variable as status. So all I'm going to do is data, since this is an array and this is the first stack in the array, so I'll just put in 0. I hope it works fine. So next I'm going to alert the status. So now we will get to know whether the status is being saved in the variable status properly or no. So again I'll need to recheck by refreshing. Okay, the page is refreshed now. Joel J 1 2 3. Okay. Okay, so this is the response 1. Yes. So we see that the variable is saving the value 1. Okay. So now basically it's a very simple logic. Um, just put in a if statement. I'm going to put equal to 1 because this is need to be verified. Similarly, I'll put if status equal to 2, or sorry, not equal to 1. So basically then you'll just need to redirect them to the index page of your website. So what I'll do is I'll type window.location .href equal to so for now I'm just putting in a simple login field message. You can show a much more better message, or you can even show an Angular Jquery toast message that looks really cool, you know. So as of now I will just redirect you to my own website, that is joelwebsites.com. Okay, I hope everything is working for now. So if you are redirecting to, you can use this code to redirect the pages. You can use anything you want in the success. What should happen in the success, that is this part. Okay, so let's see if it works. So first I'll type in my wrong password. So here we see that we are getting a correct message of login failed. Okay, so now I'll put in the correct password, that is 123. So we see we are being redirected to the other page as desired by your application. You can do anything you want in the success function. It's not necessary you have to redirect. You might write under other conditions, but I just wanted to emphasize on how the login page works using the using web services basically. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching my video. It was such a pleasure showing you this video. I hope this video was really helpful to you. If you like this video, please do not forget to click the thumbs up button below, and please share your thoughts. And if you would like to request for more videos, please share that in a comment. I will try my best to create that video for you if it's possible. So again guys, my name is Joel Fernandez. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate you watching this long video. Thanks again. Bye and take care.